Let's go to our auth controller and work on our first set of controller functions, validate, signup, and signup. If we go to our routes and look at our first auth route, you'll see that for the signup route, in order to sign up a user, we'll need to fill out validate, signup, and the signup functions. So let's get started on that. So validate, signup will be a bit of middleware that we have that will determine if the form inputs that are provided to our signup form are valid. So here we'll have request, response, and next. The first step in validating our signup form is to sanitize the inputs to make sure, for example, the user isn't sending over something invalid or something malicious like code that could be saved in our database. So we begin by taking each of the values that we're passing through and calling sanitize body on them, a function that's provided to us on the request with the help of our express validator middleware. So we'll have name, the name field, as well as the email and password fields that we all need to sanitize. And now we'll specify some conditions. First, we want to check that the name that's being passed through is non-null and is 4 to 10 characters long. So here we'll use a method called checkBody. We'll take the name, and if we have an error in checking it, we'll just tell our user to enter a name. And this is for the non-null condition. To check to make sure that our name is not null or not 0 in length, we'll use the method notEmpty. So if this returns false, if it is empty, we're going to get this error message saying to our user that they need to enter a name. Now to take care of the 4 to 10 characters condition, we'll say request.checkBody, name again, this time with the error message saying name must be between 4 and 10 characters. And we'll use the isLength method for this, saying that it must be a min value of 4 and a max value of 10. For the email, we want to make sure that the email is non-null, valid, and normalized. We're going to normalize our email or remove the inconsistencies that it might have. For example, say if there's additional periods within the email, we're going to remove those, or Express Validator is going to remove those automatically for us so that we don't have any errors if a user tries to type in something that's slightly different. We'll say request.checkBody, check the email, and if it's not valid, we'll say enter a valid email. We'll use the isEmail method for this, and we can chain on the normalize email method to that as well. Then we want the same condition for the password as we had with the name. We want to make sure the password is non-null and is 4 to 10 characters. So we can copy all of what we had for name and modify things accordingly for password. So password must be between 4 and 10 characters. This will be on the password field. Okay, then to check for errors, we can call validation errors. It'll put all the errors that we have within an array, and we can set that array equal to a variable called errors. So if we have any errors, we're going to map over them, saying errors.map. For each error, we want to get their error message on this MSG property. We want to get one error at a time, so we'll just grab the first error, and we'll set the return value of this to first error. And to send that error message back to our user, we'll say return res.status 400 and send first error. And if we don't have any errors, see that we're returning from this function if we have any errors, and therefore we won't call the signup function, which is next in line after validate signup. To say that everything's okay and we should go to signup, we just need to execute the next function. So if there's no errors, we head to sign up, and for sign up we'll have request and response. From our request body we'll have name, email, and password, so we can destructure them like we would from any object. And to create a new user, we're going to need the user model. So up at the top we'll bring in, first of all, mongoose, because we want to use the mongoose.model singleton in order to bring in our user model. So we can say mongoose.model, reference our user model as a string. So it'll pull in user as well as all of its methods. So now we can say new user and pass into it name, email, and password. And we'll make this an async function. So we'll await new user and we'll return the created user in this user variable. Now, the plugin that we took a look at on the user model called Passport Local Mongoose will do a couple of things for us. First of all, it will hash our password. It'll turn our password into a long cryptic string. It won't actually save our password in the database. It'll just save this hash. And also it'll automatically call .save for us, so we don't need to persist this new user to our database by calling .save. Passport Local Mongoose will do that for us automatically. So all we need to say is await user.register. We'll pass in our created user, password, and then we'll have a mandatory callback function with any errors and the created user, the user with the now hashed password. If we have an error, we're going to return a status of 500, and we're going to send the error message. Otherwise, we're going to respond with res.json and send through the entire created user. So we'll save that and test this out in Postman. Now, we need to know which endpoint to access, what type of request we want to make, as well as the API endpoint. So if we head to our index file within our routes folder, you can see that for signup, the endpoint or the route is /API/auth/signup. So the entire endpoint will be localhost 3000 with /API/auth/signup. And this will be a post method. So to send through a request body, we'll click on the body tab. We'll make the request with raw data. We need to send a payload with our name, email, and password, and we'll set the data type or the MIME type to JSON. We want to send through some JSON data. So we'll create a JSON object, first with our name, which we'll just provide as John. Email, say john@gmail.com. And for password, let's put in an invalid password. Let's say just a J. So we'll hit send. So we got a 400 bad request giving us our validation text for our password, saying the password must be between 4 and 10 characters. So that's good. We make our name invalid by giving it 1 character. We'll get our name error message if we provide an invalid email address and make the name valid. We'll be told to enter a valid email. But if we fill out everything right and hit send, we should get a 200 status code as well as our newly created user with only their hash, so no password saved to the database, these created at and updated at fields which were automatically made by Mongoose for us, as well as the stuff that we specified, name and email, and we have an automatically generated ID. So if we look at our MLab database, we might need to refresh. We should see a users collection, and with that, our first user.